All right, let's get right into it. In the super tense waters of the Middle East, something big has just shown up. And I mean big. It's not just another ship. This is the most advanced, the most expensive, and maybe the most lethal warship ever put to sea. So let's be clear, the USS Gerald R Ford showing up here, well, that's a power play of epic proportions. This wasn't some routine patrol. No way. This was a very deliberate, very calculated decision to park a $13 billion message right on Iran's doorstep. You gotta ask, why now? What exactly are they trying to say? To really get what's going on, we need to look at the chessboard. Okay, so this is all happening in one of the most strategically sensitive and frankly volatile regions on the entire planet. You've got the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea. These aren't just names on a map, you know? They are absolute critical choke points. We're talking about these crowded, super narrow sea lanes where a massive chunk of global trade and military power all squeeze together. Seriously, if you control these waterways, you basically control the flow of energy and goods for the rest of us. But here's where it gets really interesting. The timing. The Ford's deployment, totally not random. It showed up just days before some major high-stakes negotiations between the US and Iran were set to kick off in Geneva. You don't have to be a genius to see this wasn't a coincidence, right? This is a classic power move, a deliberate show of force meant to apply maximum pressure. The message couldn't be clearer. Let's talk, but we're going to talk on our terms. And here's the kicker. The USS Gerald R. Ford? It wasn't even supposed to be here. Another carrier was already getting ready for this exact mission. Yeah, the original plan was for the USS George H.W. Bush, a really powerful Nimitz-class carrier, to head out. It was already running its final drills, getting all prepped and ready to go, and then, bam, a sudden change of plans. So you have to wonder, right? Why would you pull a brand new, top-of-the-line carrier all the way from the Atlantic and rush it halfway around the world when you had another perfectly capable ship already on deck? What could possibly trigger such a dramatic last-minute switch? Well, the answer apparently comes down to a single, very specific threat. A new Iranian missile, the Zulfiqar. The intelligence coming in suggested this thing was a potential carrier killer. It was designed with one purpose in mind: to challenge and maybe even cripple older U.S. carriers like the Bush. The Pentagon just wasn't willing to roll the dice on that. They needed an absolute, undeniable counter. They needed the Ford. Okay, so let's dig into the Ford itself, because you have to understand that this ship isn't just a simple upgrade. It's a whole new beast, a complete generational leap in naval warfare. Now, the U.S. already has the USS Abraham Lincoln in the area, and that's a beast of a ship. But the Ford, it's just on another level entirely. Let's start with something simple: aircraft capacity. The Lincoln carries, 60 to 70 planes? The Ford can pack on over 90. That's more than 20 extra warplanes. We're talking advanced F-18 Super Hornets, specialized helicopters, the works. In a fight, that's not just a small advantage. That's overwhelming air superiority, all crammed onto one single floating airbase. And one of the most game-changing things about it is how it gets those planes off the deck. You can just forget about old-school steam catapults. The Ford uses the raw power of electromagnetism. It's called the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS for short. And this EMALS thing, it's a complete revolution. It launches planes with incredible precision, putting way less stress on the jets themselves. So what does that mean? It means the planes can take off heavier, packed with more fuel and more weapons. That extends their range, makes them more lethal. Oh, and it can do all this way, way faster. It can just pump out sortie after sortie, putting a truly insane amount of firepower in the air before an enemy even knows what hit them. But look, the Ford's insane offensive power is really only half the story. The reason it was sent specifically is because of its revolutionary defensive systems. They were designed to defeat the exact kind of threats it's now facing in the Persian Gulf. Iran's whole strategy has been described as opening a new surprise box every day. So the fear isn't just one attack, it's a massive coordinated swarm coming at you from every direction at once. Submarines coming up from below, missile boats swarming on the surface, and a rain of drones and missiles coming down from the sky. The Ford was literally built from the ground up to beat that exact nightmare scenario. So to deal with that underwater threat, the Ford carries a squadron of MH-60R Seahawk helicopters. And these aren't your average choppers. No, these are sophisticated sub-hunters. They're basically the carrier's eyes and ears under the waves, constantly on the prowl, ready to seek and destroy anything lurking in the deep. And what about that swarm of missiles raining down from the sky? Well, if the long-range interceptors get overwhelmed, the Ford has a truly terrifying last line of defense, the Phalanx CIWS. Think of it like a Gatling gun on steroids. It fires thousands of rounds a minute, basically creating a solid wall of metal to shred anything, and I mean anything, that gets too close. But the real genius, the brain that connects all of these incredible offensive and defensive systems, is something no other carrier on Earth has. See, on older carriers, you have one radar system looking up for planes and missiles, and a totally separate system looking down for subs and torpedoes. The Ford, it combines them into one all-seeing eye. Its dual-band radar tracks threats in the sky and in the water at the same time. This gives the crew total 360-degree awareness of the battlefield. In the middle of a chaotic fight, that's not just an advantage, it's everything. So, when you put all these pieces together, what does it all mean? Look, sending the USS Gerald R Ford over there is so much more than just a flex. It's a direct answer to a very specific set of threats. This entire platform was built to surgically take apart what we call asymmetrical warfare. Using smaller, cheaper things like swarm boats, subs, and missile barrages to try and take down a bigger opponent. It's the perfect counter to the exact strategy a country like Iran would use. So the Pentagon has put its queen on the chessboard, right in the middle of the action, directly challenging its opponent's every move. The play has been made, but the question everyone's asking now is this a brilliant move to force a peaceful checkmate, or is it the move that flips the entire board over?